Hello, friends. Welcome to Supply Chain Spot, episode 5. I'm your host and presenter, Poonam Dungerwal. Today's episode is sponsored by Export Mine, a global trade data company. They are the provider of global import export trade data for more than 51 countries across the globe. I'd like to start by wishing everybody a very happy Women's Day. I would like to start today's episode with a Hindi poem dedicated to all women on this very, very, very special day. नारी तुम आस्था हो, तुम प्यार विश्वास हो, टूटी हुई उम्मीदों की एकमात्र आस हो, अपने परिवार के हर जीवन का तू आधार हो, इस बेमानी सी भरी दुनिया में एक तुम ही एकमात्र प्यार हो। चलो उठो, इस दुनिया में अपने अस्तित्व को संभालो, सिर्फ एक दिन ही नहीं बल्कि हर दिन नारी दिवस मना लो। A very happy Women's Day to each and every woman in the world. So, Supply Chain Spot meets the lawyer.com. Today, we have another very special guest with us. She is an experienced advocate for good justice and has worked tirelessly to ensure equity and fairness is afforded to every client she has given the legal aid. She has a great work track record, which has revealed a continuing growth trajectory. From working as a legal associate with former Chief Justice of India to handling legal operations at Ipstar Analytics to offering her service as a legal consultant for over a year. Now, she heads legal and general operations at Lawyered, which is a platform that accommodates any willing legal practitioner and works in conjunction with them to provide legal services at affordable rates and with ample efficiency to everyone who needs it. Priyanka, you're very welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Poonam. It's an
So,
honor to
first of
be here.
all, okay, I'm sorry, did you say anything?
It's just an honor to be here.
My pleasure. So, first of all, a very, very, very happy Women's Day. All
Thank
women need to be
you.
celebrated, and I know you have a lot you could be doing today. You would be telling us, you would be sharing. So, I appreciate you taking the time to be here today.
Thank you so much. Look forward to the session.
Perfect. So, before we hop into this kind of, the legal service and the supply chain topic, I'd like to ask you a question.
Sure,
Who
go
is
ahead.
your greatest source of inspiration, and how your growth is highly impacted by that person?
I think my mother and the domestic helps I have had and seen working from my childhood to till now, and the realization of how minutely and corely they are involved in the things, and their daily effort is gone unnoticed. So I think I'll dedicate it to them, to my mother, and parallelly to the domestic helps, whosoever were there in my life to help us, doing things which we want to do and inspire doing it. Yeah.
That's so wonderful to hear. I mean, yes, you've really pointed out mother is something that has been an inspiration to most of the women's today because they are the ones from whom we learn a lot. To me also, it was my mother, just like you. I was born in a family of 5 kids, 4 sisters and one brother. Though my mother was a housewife, and the one thing that always inspired me of my mother is the dedication for the work that she used to
Right.
do.
Yeah.
We
I think
women
it's
are.
a whole, yeah, yeah. I think it's a whole hierarchy that goes, because my mother must have, inherited these qualities from her mother. Then her grandmom must have inherited from her grandmom. So it's a constant fight and constant, not just the fight, I would like to say it. It was a constant approach and constant effort that they were passionate about, that, people in our generation can do what they want to decide for themselves in a very better way, of course, with the supports of the fathers, no doubt in it.
very,
Yeah,
very
that's true. Because see, I think we are living in a society where there is about the quality and social engineering. So one person cannot take the just the credit of, this is done by me. It's a combined and it's a joint contribution. It's a teamwork. Wherever you are, it's a teamwork. If somebody says, no, this has happened just because of me, I have nothing to counter it, but I personally believe that there would be for sure somebody, maybe the siblings, maybe the parents, maybe grandparents, anybody who was involved in supporting them. So yes, so it's always a teamwork. You live in a society which is dependent upon, social engineering theory. So this is what I personally believe in.
That's very, that's very, truly and sophisticatedly said. Like, yes, absolutely. If we talk about the contribution of a woman, the contribution of a father is also equally important, because without the two tires, a vehicle cannot move ahead.
It's for sure.
Yeah. All right. So let's get back to supply chain spot and the lawyer.com. So let me say that, I appreciate your choice of to be a service to people of India through your platform Lawyered, because getting the legal aid can get expensive. So having qualified people who are committed as you and your team on the lookout is definitely so beneficial. For some
Right.
of my listeners who may not be familiar with the work that you do, can you tell us a little bit more about your work, you do with Lawyered, and how the vision began, how all this happened?
See, Lawyered is technically on a mission to empower everybody who is in any sort of a legal support, assistance, inquiry, consulting. So it covers the generally from pre-litigation support to litigation support, and which actually starts from the very phases, which is inquiry. So initially, there was a time 10 years back, people were very hesitant about to reach to the lawyers. Still, they are, I'm sure, still they are. As per my experience, the requirements we receive on the platform, people are still, in this stereotype and hesitant about the fact that, oh, if I'll share something, will it be, will it be, is it safe? Can I talk to you? Second taboo attached with this, that the service may be which I am subject to or have need of, is it very costly? So that is what where lawyer comes in, because lawyer is on a mission to feel everybody legally empowered, as I previously said. So it has technically adopted an approach, and it constantly work upon it so as to ensure and enable that the implementation take place whenever we receive any sort of requirements on the platform. In fact, the nature of the work is such that even if individuals who are the team of the lawyer, if somebody is reaching them out, by hearing lawyer, they ensure that the requirement is being addressed and they are delivered with the service, by a proper execution management in a very correctful manner. So this is a very the whole department in lawyer legal and operations is actually very dedicated to this cause. I would like to say as a cause, because it's a challenge that people, legal tech industry in India has recently come into market, most likely 5 8 years it has been. Yeah. So it's a new thing for everybody. So whenever there is a new thing, there is hesitation, there is shyness, and there are a lot of questions. So other than their requirement questions, we ask, answer the other questions also, that whether this query will be safe, whether my name is safe, whether I will not be. Are you sure that if I share with you, this will not be shared anybody outside, which is not intended to? So various things is attached. So the key parameter indicator in the work profile is here, that you ensure that there are cross functions in the company. So whatever we brought on the table of lawyered, so legal and operations team, just not me, it's my, I have a whole dedicated team that works under me, with me, and with us, who is passionate about execution and the delivery at a very rightful time, understanding whenever, understanding and assessing the emergency, the immediate requirement of it, and the service take place accordingly. For sure, there is a standard operational process we follow, which we have to follow no matter what.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. I mean, the first point that you have actually highlighted, the name lawyer itself is was I mean, I would say it was so terrifying that people, when they say that, okay, I'm visiting a lawyer, there are hundreds and thousands of questions that comes into our mind. Okay, why is she visiting? What has happened? Is there anything major? And every time we tend to look towards, the negative aspect rather than the
Mhm.
positive aspect,
Yeah,
and the power that the lawyer has through his
correct.
service. How is he going to help you to come out of a situation? That's
Yeah,
what the profession is all about. It's
Yes,
just to, take us out from the situation where we're not comfortable.
correct.
And I think the platform that you guys have built is so very awesome that, not everybody would like to have the feeling of visiting the court and visiting the lawyer. Maybe sometimes they just wanted to have an online virtual assistance.
Let me
And I
add to it, also at a very psychological level. Why, if I may say, that people has this thought process and tendency that they are very comfortable talking not in person but over chat, over email, over maybe having voice calls or maybe meetings like we are having. So it also give you a sense of comfortness which was missing earlier. So I'm not saying that physical meetings are not important, not at all, I'm saying that. But yes, it is just adding, it's like the cherry on the cake. It is just adding more, scope to people and diversity in the profession that, okay, you are virtually also available. So you have a physical presence and you have a virtual presence. Yeah. So there has to be a very good nexus in between them, which we are actually working upon it.
All right. So when I say that you've always been drawn towards the law, you're a trained lawyer and you've gone through the required stages to get to where you are today. Had it always been your dream to be a lawyer?
Yes, yes, it was. So there was somebody in my family, not in my immediate family for sure. And so he used to be a barrister a very long, long time back, I'm saying. And then we heard a lot of stories in the family. So immediate in my immediate family, it's service class. Nobody is a legal professional. So they were like, okay, what next, Priyanka? You aspire to do? So I was like, I was in fifth or eighth, I'm sure, and I was like, I have to do the law for sure. Like I was so passionate about it. But thankfully, in academics in school, people teach in moral science, right? That Article 14, Article 21. So I was much keen to pursue law. So yeah, thankfully, in my case, my parents really did well. So I was in a capacity to decide that I can go with the law.
That's great to hear. And you're doing really good, and I believe it's great also because you are an inspiration for younger women who look up to you, and they can be as great as well if they are willing to put in the work, like how you've done it.
See, there are so many people who are wonderfully doing it, right? As I said earlier, it's not about me or you or any other person. There are so many people. There have been so many causes which people have, nailed down and build an impact and word on their journey, and they have beautifully done it. So in a country like ours, there are so many problems already. When I say so many problem, I mean that there are so many causes which you can choose to work upon. And lawyer is technically and logically on anyway a problem and a solution also, that okay, our fellow men and fellow women are in case facing something, please reach us out. So we receive requirements pan India, at time internationally also, where there are distress call also. You understand distress call? For example, that there is a situation that the woman or a person is thinking or has a societal tendency. So we ensure that we reach out to the most appropriate authority and inform about it and connect the two. This is something which we are focusing to do, just because we have this mission, so that everybody is feeling empowered. So by legally just not mean that by empowerment of the lawyers, but in every true sense. As you can, if you just see about us lawyer, the first punchline says empowering people of India or empowering citizens legally. Yeah.
That's so wonderful. I mean, I really love the concept on which you're working. So when we think about lawyer, or there's a first picture that comes to our mind is always like a male dominated thing. And based upon that, there's a burgeoning gender gap in most occupations and less equity representations in the pay and opportunity. So when you consider the landscape in law, would you say women are given adequate opportunity to thrive as much as possible, or is there a level playing field to succeed for women in law?
I think, see, I am from Lloyd, yeah, and you can see that I am sitting. So it's about the right environment, not just the work environment. See, in the company or in a place wherever you are, there are a whole lot of other people also. So they have their own attributes, own personality. That is something actually contributes a lot, because your individual calling and conscious affect your work, may affect your work decisions also. But thankfully, I believe that from where we were and where we have come so far, it is beautiful. People are coming. The college I belong to, I'm an alumni of ILS. I did my master's from there. So you see, a lot of girls are actually there over the guys who are pursuing law. So I would be very wrong to say that there is no scope for the girls or the women in this profession. There is certainly is, and it is also codependent to ourselves individually, that what we are actually doing to sustain and to work constantly to be progressive on the field, even if we are given the chance, or otherwise if we are in a position to nail or grab that opportunity. No opportunity, as the common saying, no, there is opportunity, it will knock the door. What about if there is no door but there is opportunity? So
That's so beautifully said. So, would you say that there is anything special that would make someone to be a more expedient lawyer? I mean, is it like a rocket science, or anyone can actually decide to become a lawyer and just go for it?
Initially, I would like to say that everybody should be aware with the law. Yeah, you should
Hmm.
know what your country law says. And as I initially also talked, that there are certain chapters which are being taught in the schools. So it is also dependent upon how citizens are also choosing to read about their laws and not just complaining. There are all sort of segments in the society, but I personally believe that we should be aware and informed what the law says of a country. Very few people are even aware with the articles in Constitution of India, unless until some episode or incident takes place. Yeah. So I believe that if somebody is choosing to be a legal professional, they should be very they should really invest their time in learning the practical aspect of it. But when I say practical aspect of it, I do not mean to miss out on the theory. You should be very well read and informed with the process of laws, which nowadays, whatever limited experience I may have, I feel that the youngsters are actually not reading which is expected from you. The due quality reading is missing actually. So if you are choosing to for a code practice, it is expected from you that you'll go through the process laws, the CRPC, CPC, not just for the sake of clearing the semesters. Yeah.
So that's beautifully said. Like for each profession, there is some amount of study that you need to do, whether it's a CA, whether it's a doctor, whether it's a lawyer. So you always have to do your base work, and based upon that base work, you can go ahead in a very far way. I mean, if your base is strong, you can always move ahead in a correct direction. That's what you want to say.
Yes, yes, for sure. For
All
sure.
right. So, what would you say are some of the factors that make the best legal services so expensive today? And, what are some of the services that are helping to bridge that gap and make decent legal aid cheaper and more accessible to the general public?
Okay. See, anybody, let's start with a very basic. So let's say one incident has occurred and somebody is reaching out to the lawyers, right? So there are all sort of age groups and experienced lawyers. Let's say there are freshers, there are people of 0 to 3 years experience, 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, 25. Yeah. So what is the nature of the requirement? I'm talking about the classification of it, right? And how much experience lawyer is required there. So the lawyer of let's say there's a law firm where you have the mixed experience panel lawyers working beautifully in the team, as a team. So it depends totally the requirement, the place, yeah, the cause of action, and moreoverly the amount in question, yeah, and the conflict of a fact. And what I'm trying to say is, the crux of it, the gravity attached to it, the time involvement in it. Let's say if there is a situation which involves my 24 hours. Yeah. So if something which requires my 24 hours, I will be charging you for the court expenses, for the office expenses, for my service expenses, and other miscellaneous costs. Let's say if I have to travel to the court, I may charge you for it also. Yeah. So this is the total amount which usually lawyers charge to the client, and they are counter alleged that you charge very heavy. And
Yeah.
there are also situations you won't believe it that people come to us and they are like, we pay you this, you pay everything. Let's say if the understanding of service fees and the court fees is also missing, so they are like, you are tricking us, oh no, this cannot happen. So that understanding is somewhat needs to be built, and if it is built, I'm sure legal professionals will not be targeted with such allegations. And when it comes to cost effectiveness in services also, see, there are all segments of lawyers. Earlier, there was no such online platform, no virtual presence. So people used to go with a piece of word. Yes, let's say that Poonam is looking for some assistance, and her uncle referred to somebody. That was the approach. So she will surely go to that person. Now there is whole equilibrium set on the platform that there whosoever is having the expertise, everybody is listed on a platform. You decide who you think shall be the right person or the appropriate person to even initiate your interaction. That is what we are working here and at Lawyered. And when it comes to reasonability of the billing and pricing, so here, the interaction we are making it happen, we make sure that uh, uh, the pricing is not like just arbitrarily quoted. For example, if you come for Priyanka, I just need to understand that what will the process of mutual divorce filing, and Priyanka just arbitrarily say 50K. So this is what we are trying to monitor, evaluate, monitor, and control in a
So with
best of our capacity.
I mean, with the number of points that you just right now highlighted, Priyanka, there was one point or one of the situation that we really came across. You know, when I talk about legal in metro cities are always equipped, and it's a little more easier to find the correct lawyers for the correct situation. Okay. Now, when I say this, is I'm going to give you an example. So if I am coming from a tier 2 city, I'm coming from an Udaipur city. For me, finding a lawyer who can help me with startup assistance is very difficult to me in Udaipur. For that, I have to travel to metro cities. But I think now with lawyer.com, it's going to make my life more easier with just a few clicks on my system. You're going to be giving me the best lawyers, or you're going to give us, I'm not sure if this is what you do. You're going to give me, okay, for these services, we have these many lawyers, and you can approach any one of them. Is that something that you
Yeah,
do?
sure. Yes, yes. This is one of the aspects.
This is going to ease my life in such a great way that I can, it doesn't matter if I'm sitting in a metro city or if I'm sitting in a smaller city in India. It is so very transparent, so very easy to use, and everything is online. You just come onto your platform, swipe your credit card or make the payment through your bank account, and it becomes so very very easy.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so this is something that's really a boon to all the people who wants to use the legal services. Now, when I talk about the legal services in connection with the business aspect, people just don't need legal aid for themselves. Business owners who are involved with high demand and supply of products also need the apt legal aid. They need to be able to operate within the borders of the law, and businesses need to have a proper legal consultations and support. So how can lawyer be of service to businesses and business owners who need legal insights to bolster their operations?
Okay. See, as I said initially, that lawyer is for everybody who is looking for any legal support and assistance, right? So, if there is a budding entrepreneur, or even if there is a registered company or a registered, a startup is somebody who is having a certificate of DPIT, and so whenever they think that any doubt with respect to even how should I start with the registration. When I say that, I mean that we can help you from pre-incorporation to incorporation, post incorporation period, and help you at every single step. We can help you in funding, investment round, pitch deck, your structuring of the organization, restructuring of the HR department in case needed, the company's policies, the paperwork, the co-founders agreement, shareholder agreement, subscription agreement, whatever it is, which is required from very early phase to when you are actually full flourishing company in existence.
Brilliant. I mean, that's fantastic. So with lawyers, specialists can be assigned to all levels of business operations, right? So
All levels of business operations. In fact, not just the business operation, as I said, even for from the time of the registration itself.
that's something that's, I mean, great to hear. I mean, for me, supply chain spot, if I have to get it registered, I have lawyer.com.
For sure, lawyer is will be more than happy to have you.
So, Priyanka, I believe every lawyer has a special operational sector where they have their strong expertise. So, you would have to assign each person appropriately. I mean, how does that work?
Yes, yes. So the department which I am heading off, actually there is a whole good dedicated team, and we are expanding that also. So that requires right skill set people doing right, attending right service requests so that they can execute and deliver accordingly. For that, obviously, even if you are a law degree holder, will just not be sufficient because it requires these specific career skills which for sure you can learn from us when you join, in case you join or we consider you on board by going undergoing through training and probation period. So yes, for every profile in the department, even in the cross functional departments, every designation whosoever is position at, they are supposed to having that particular specific skills, not just the degree. Having a degree will not suffice the purpose, because if there are so many people around who are having the law degrees, who are having the degree in engineering and MBAs. So we have good people already around, but we want very good people who can relate to the mission of the lawyer, relate to the objective of these cross-functional departments and the department which they may be subject to join. So that is what is needed. Yeah.
This is super cool. I mean, you actually have just taken out one huge step. You're doing the entire background check. You're making sure that the people who are there on Lawyered are, great people who have great experience and they can give great services through your platform. That is something that's really, really amazing. So do you operate and take consultations virtually as well, or do meetings have to be physical, especially when dealing with the global clientele base? We've all observed that the changing global landscape, and we've seen the way technology and virtual work can be utilized extensively. So do you inculcate technology with the work you do with the law, or would
Yes.
you say are some effects of exploiting technology and AI in law? I was wondering, lawyer may be using some of the technology and the AI and then mixing up with the lawyers and presenting or disrupting the legal society as a whole.
So lawyer actually is not exploiting technology, but yes, using in a very rightful manner so that it is being utilized to the fullest as much as possible. So yes, we are tech, we are technology platform. So yes, technology is a basis of it, and yes, we are catering the need online virtually, which I have been constantly talking about and covering in almost all the answers. So it is a yes to everything. And when it comes to AI and law, for sure, if you just now can, if you would like to, people who are watching this, if they want to visit to the website www.lawyer.in, you can see that the chat process that is happening is automated. So we are using AI to the best of our capacity, and we are trying to up our level also. The every month we are different. Every month we are different. There we are constantly on the ladder, and scaling up, stepping up. So yes, and specifically the work which we are very repetitive in nature. or mundane, I can say. Like, so we ensure that there is a bot so that people can focus on other things where human intelligence is needed rather than artificial or machine intelligence. You know,
Wow. I mean, it's just like wow. Exploiting is something that we've used purposefully because we wanted our listeners to get into it. That lawyer is really giving a new trend, or I would say, new colors to the legal industry as a whole. So when we that, do you see micro niching as a positive development in the advent of modern law? I mean, considering the increased complexities in certain industries and the tasking needs of certain clients, what would you say are some of the benefits for creating some more micro niches for specialization?
yes. See, we need gone are those time when people used to say, I can do everything. So you need subject matter experts, right? It doesn't matter for, say, let's say there can be, I can be a good consultant, but there can be somebody who's a good negotiator. So rather than myself going into the meeting, yeah, the company would want, I would want that that person should go. So for that, you have to have that requisite courses, skills, knowledge, training, sessions, learning from the senior, from the law firm, anywhere you get can have a good quality experience, not just any experience, but the most relevant and quality experience. See, knowledge in today's time is available for free. You just Google it, you'll get a lot of information. Yeah. So, not necessarily that is of relevance to you. So, you need to have your seniors around who are subject matter experience, and you look forward to become one of the expert on the same particular subject. So there are a lot of courses, there are a lot of sessions, there are a lot of workshops. I'm sure colleges are doing it, promoting it. There are a lot of ed tech people. Lawyer itself is doing it. There's a lot of quality content dissemination disruptions they do. So it depends what you read, how you read, and how much try to implement from those learning and willing to unlearn maybe also, so that as they say, a OS every time needs to be updated.
That's very insightful. So being a career lawyer has its ups and downs, and there can be a lot of upsides of you might well know. So perhaps one of the things people may not realize is that apart from the loads of research you do and the tons and hours of study, you still have to secure clients to represent. So tell me something, about the typical struggles of landing a client. What are some of the tools that can be deployed in making the process much more seamless?
One is already AI, which we talked about. Yeah. Since we are trying to build and mark virtually and physically both. Yeah. And we have in this session also covered that why people are more open and friendly using virtual means rather than physical, unless and until it is really needed. So I think using of artificial intelligence would really help it. Second, that the challenges, particularly which legal tech platforms may face, is largely when people call you and they're like, "Are you sure you are a lawyer? Are you sure that this person is correct?" So at time you are like, okay, but then you realize that is okay because it's a new thing. Will for sure question you, so we are bound to answer those questions. It doesn't matter whether those requirements are legal or non-legal, because ultimately we aspire and aim to cater that legal need which they have actually knock the platform and submit their requirement. So yes, it is. And then when it comes to more challenges, when it comes to client, I think one of the other would be, which I also covered in this session, was that understanding that the court fees is applicable, which is law, which lawyers has nothing to do. You are bound to pay that. So, and lawyer is not tricking you out for that. Third and fourth would be, when they the availability, that when let's say that this person has some requirement and we arrange a virtual meet with the lawyer, they just don't turn out. They just don't turn out. So these are very small things, but they affect you on a very daily basis. And when they are in collective sense, it actually affect a lot of time, It affects and impacts the cost, everything, the resources, the availability, because then you have to again restructure and organize and make sure that it is being, the service is executed and delivered by the end of the day. So very small, small things, but yes, when they add, they becomes very big challenges.
I'm sure these challenges you've been facing every day, and which each challenge it becomes a new lesson, and we learn it from it, and then we tend to have a solution for that, and that's what lawyer has been doing it amazingly. But
Yes.
thank you so much for everything you've shared with us, and I certainly learned so much about the lawyer and the legal aspect. I've got one last question before I let you go.
Sure,
Okay.
sure. Please go ahead.
Please tell us some of the creative ways you've been able to manage, cross-functional teams of lawyers across various niches, being the leader at the Lawyer Initiative, and how can lawyers in training benefit from the lawyered.com platform?
Sure. So the most recently product which Lawyered has co-branded and launched in association with ITWA, that's All India Transport Welfare Association. Yeah. So this product is it is usually called ITWA Lots. So it's lawyer on the spot. It means that when it is specifically for the goods and transport community. Yeah. So people, there are a lot of problems there the drivers and the trucks encounter when they are en route from one state to another, and the reporting of their experiences are not recorded actually. So yes, that's a product which has most recently been launched, and we have been working together, not just me. And in parallel to that, there is also another segment of it is lawyer on wheels, where it's a it's a sole product of the lawyer, where private vehicles, commercial vehicles, they can just reach out to. When I say vehicles, I mean the people who are traveling and en route, be it a driver or a owner of the vehicle. You're driving on your journey, you encounter some wrongful challan or some incidents where you have been subject to, let's say, you were passing by and something happened and you want to contact your lawyer, you can reach us out. There's a whole dedicated team 24/7 who is available to help you in those situations. And if need be, we also offer to connect you with the local representation also.
That's so very wonderful, because this has happened, because when we are traveling on roads, we encounter something that's really bad and that's not acceptable. At that point of time, we there are so many other things that comes to our mind, but we when we think about lawyer, we think, okay, let me reach to a particular point and then reach out to a lawyer. But lawyered.com has made that affordable, available, accessible at any point of time, at any place. And this actually has a relevance to the supply chain industry as well, because when people are on roads, they are traveling, they are taking the cargo with them, and if sometimes the trucks just slides on the other way and the entire goods come out, what happens? I mean, the driver tend to run away. What happens with those products? So
Right,
that's
right,
when the legal aspects come into the picture. They tell, okay, they provide some of the ways through which we could beautifully handle this. Else,
right.
in the earlier times, everything was just haywire. The driver used to run away, the goods used to get spoiled, and there would be huge losses that the companies are facing. And with the help of lawyer.com, people can get benefited in such a beautiful way, and it's actually changing the way people look at the lawyers society or community as a whole, and that's so very appreciable.
Yeah, and Puram, just wanted to correct one thing. It's not .com, it's www.lawyer.info. Are you there?
Okay, yes, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, yes, I can. It's dot .in, not .com.
Perfect. I am so sorry. It's www.lawyered.in.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Priyanka. It's been lovely to have you on. Keep being awesome and inspiring. Happy Women's Day once again. I'd like to end by saying, here's to strong women. May we know them, may we be with them, may we raise them. Happy Women's Day. Lawyer.in is a platform that makes legal online, making it cost effective, high quality, and accessible for all. For more information, please check out Priyanka and all the great work she's doing at Lawyer.in. You can reach out to her on LinkedIn. I am putting her LinkedIn profile link into the description below.
Thank you so much, Poonam. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate.
To all our listeners there, please share one positive moment that you have cherished a woman's contribution, and you have a chance to win a supply chain spot mug. All you need to do is post that moment on our comment section in the LinkedIn page of Supply Chain Spot, and one lucky winner will be entitled for a gift. Thank you for listening to today's episode. Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you so much. Happy Women's Day and have a wonderful day.
Thank you and same to you. Wish you well. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.